Hello everyone and welcome to the 2021 MVP Open at Maple Hill. We're going to start off today with our press conference and the man, Steve Dodge. Steve, first of all, good to see you. How are you doing today?
It's great to see you, Terry. Glad to have you back here.
Incredible place, so many memories, just even hearing your voice, so many memories. When I think about the room that we're in, think about the course, the facility, everything that you've built and grown with so many people here. You've always pushed the envelope when it comes to professional disc golf. What should somebody expect to see this year that's different and continuing to push us forward?
Well, besides spectators and an increased staff, we've also improved the course quite a bit. New holes for the women on holes 8 and 10, new holes for the men on 8 and 17. And you referenced this room, and it's so fun to see all the Pro Tour Flickr account photos in this room. About half of them I'm crying in as I thank the staff. Just thinking about the journey we've taken it melts my heart. I can't imagine being happier than literally sitting in this seat talking to anybody who's listening, thinking about where we are. It's very exciting.
At the end of every year, at the end of the tournament, the staff is all rushed up to this room. As you said, you usually have a number of heartfelt words and thanks and congratulations to the staff. Is that the moment you look most forward to?
Wow, that's a great question. I have no idea. I really like the pond jump. I really like having two people within a stroke or two on hole 18. I really like the first shots on hole 1. I really like the drama on hole 5, on hole 8, on hole 14. I really love the spectators going crazy. Favorite moment, I have no idea what my favorite moment is.
Well, my last question is, you envisioned and then put forth the Pro Tour, the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We've seen it transition, we've seen it grow and thrive over these last few years. How do you look at that? How do you reflect on what we've seen and where it's going?
I can't imagine being more proud than, me and about 180,000 other people put in so much effort to get us through the first 4 years, just to create the Pro Tour. But then to be able to hand it off to such a talented and caring group of people, it means the world to me. I'm really, really happy.
Awesome. Hey, Steve, this is Matt from Disc Golf Pro Talk here on the Disc Golf Network. There are expected to be over 1,000 spectators on property each day. I think that's accurate. We know Maple Hill can be tight on viewing spots. How is the viewing? How are you prepared as a venue to handle that?
I have never been so prepared, and I've never been so nervous. I think that we're going to have about double the number of spectators we had in 2019, and it was crazy. There were so many people yelling and screaming. It was wonderful. We have, for the first time ever, we have security. We actually have hired security personnel to stand in certain areas to protect the VIP areas, to protect our corporate tailgating area. For the first time ever, we've worked with the Leicester Police Department. We'll actually have police on the road, making sure nobody parks on the road, making sure when you're dropping off people, you do it at a nice pace, making sure when the parkers tell you to move on, you move on. So we've put a lot of pieces in place, plus we've got about 100 staff a day to help manage the spectators. So I feel like we're ready, and in 3 days I'll tell you that whether or not we were.
It's going to be exciting, and can you just tell me as I transition out here, what's your favorite side activity that happens at Maple Hill?
I'm going to go ahead and say the big distance contest, and a shout out to Bushnell for sponsoring the big distance contest this year. Everybody gets over there by hole 1. The big arms throw the discs as far as they can, and 400 or 500 of us just whoop and holler, and that is by far my favorite extra event that we have.
Steve, chasing the bees here. I'm curious if you could talk about why you made changes to hole 8.
For the men, the women, or both?
For both.
Okay. First of all, Mark, great to see you again.
Thanks.
Hole 8 is an iconic hole, and we have the 8 holes there. Zach Benson leading a great group of people, and people say if something's not broke, why don't fix it. I apparently don't follow that rule all the time, because we definitely changed it. My goal with that, we were over 40% birdies, and when you get to the elite card, the top half of the group of the cards, that's going to be closer to 75 to 80% birdies. That hole hadn't changed in probably a decade. They dialed it in, and it was ready to give them. We were ready to give them a new challenge. So we moved the tee back 60 or 70 feet. You can't quite get as good a wind read. You have to throw it a little farther, so you're disking up a little bit, and landing it on that now island green is really tricky. So when you get it on there, the 8 holes are going to go super crazy. It's going to be that much of a better shot. We made it an island green to avoid all confusion. Last year, the Pro Tour tee signs and the course tee signs were different, and I made a ruling. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I made a ruling last year based on the course signs, and I had forgotten that we had slightly different Pro Tour signs. And so I was able to, with some guidance from Jeff, I was able to correct that, and we got it right. But this year we made it simpler. So if you miss the island green, you just go to the drop zone. The last thing we did was we changed the drop zone so that it is a very exciting putt back. Simon Lazat's not able to be here. I'm very sorry about that, and Simon, we miss you very much. But he happened to be playing while we were testing that new drop zone area, and Gage held the basket, and he said, "No, I'm not going for that. That's way too risky." And so we moved the basket up a few feet, and he just kind of paused and said, "I don't." And then we moved it up a few more feet, and he said, "I'll go for that." And then that's how we figured out exactly where we wanted to put that basket.
And to follow up too, when you talk about the drop zone, what kind of feedback did you get last year on the way the drop zones were set up as they kind of progressed along?
You mean where you go from, or last year you went to the white tee and then you went to the drop zone? I didn't think hole 8 warranted being a 4-stroke swing hole. That's really what it comes down to. I could see it being a 2 or maybe 3-stroke swing hole, but I thought 4 strokes on that one hole is way too much. So that's the reason that we changed that. And then I didn't touch on the women's side. The women's shot was a really technical shot. And last year we made a couple of changes to the course, 16 and 17 particularly, and 18 actually. And all 3 of those made the women's course more technical. So this year I wanted to bounce back a little bit and say, let's make it a little more aggressive, a little more distance friendly. And so we're kind of moderating back away from the technicality, which hole 8 had. And now it's more of just a power shot, get it over or don't.
All right, Steve, last question for you. Is there anything you'd like to say to the world that's going to be watching, all eyes here on Maple Hill for this weekend?
Get ready for an amazing weekend. Maple Hill is ready for you. I hope you're ready for us.
All right, everyone. That is your tournament director, Steve Dodge, also a PDGA Tournament Director of the Year award winner. Thank you, buddy. Good luck this weekend.
Thank the Pro Tour crew, and thank everybody for watching. Please keep doing it.
And joining us now is our tour director in Jeff Spring. And Jeff, a lot of feels, a lot of vibes, and I know that's going to be talked about throughout the entire weekend. It's such a special place. But yeah. I think about meeting you right here on this property, and just a few hundred feet away, you were set up with a tent, and you were trying to get everyone to come to Smuggler's Notch. Do you remember those days?
I do remember those days. Yeah, we were excited to come down and promote the Green Mountain Championship, which was, I think, starting up in 2012, 2013. And once we got the Smuggler's Notch Disc Golf Center off the ground, we came down here to try to learn as much as we could about what was so special and magical about Maple Hill and the Vibram Open and now the MVP Open.
So talk about that evolution just a little bit. You came here, like you just mentioned, the vibe, the feels that you were trying to maybe emulate or copy or just absorb, and then take it not only to your place, but also ultimately to an entire tour.
Yeah, so first it was just about making Brewster Ridge an excellent wooded course that emulates some of the style here, but making it our own up there. This one's number 1. Brewster's number 5 in the world based on UDisc rankings. But obviously we have more property and a resort to work with, so they're different. I think the destination up at Smugs offers 2 courses, whereas this is just one standalone enigma of disc golf glory. So we've taken a lot. I think in terms of the event, the first year I was here, there's pie eating, table tennis, accuracy, putting, contests. And entertainment on site. And I said, well, what can we do to do better than that as much as I could? So we created Fall Fest and created, live music and used some of the resources that, is very unique to Smuggler's Notch Resort. But it was, all just trying to catch up and kind of push to the next level in some ways and try to emulate as best we could in others. So. Well,
and a moment ago, you spoke of resources. I'm thinking about we're leading into the last third of the season, last quarter, whatever you want to call it. Cameramans, crews, operations, everybody, so much work has been put in this year. How do we move forward? How do we get through that push of a very grueling month and a half that still remains in the season?
Yeah, this year has been a new challenge because we are almost doing 30 live events, which is almost triple last year. I think we did 12. So that's an enormous undertaking. We've had mid-season hires and more regional contractors hired on to try to just get us to the end of the season. I think we see the light at the end of the tunnel now, and we're getting really excited for this really epic last stretch with MVP, GMC. We've got a new match play event, but then USDGC, the end of the national tour season is coming up with the MCO. And then, of course, the Tour Championship. So we're already past that in planning for 2022. So I think that we'll make it with the reinforcements we brought in, but it's definitely, as you know, been a grind.
It certainly has. So my last one for you would be any major new details with regard to either the match play or the Pro Tour Championships? Anything you want to share with us here?
Yeah, so for match play, the final field is set. We've got 1 through 16 for men in, 1 through 8. All the seeds basically came in, other than Paul, who's got a conflict with his great B tier down in Bedford. We hope to see Paul next year, Paul McBeth. And I encourage everybody to watch. That course is supposed to be epic down in Bedford, the Battle for Bedford. So we're excited to see that play out, and hopefully there's not going to be a conflict on that next year. And then Drew Gibson, who wasn't actually in and had to make different plans, but then his performance at Idlewild got him in, but he couldn't cancel his other plans. But that got in Emerson Keith and Colton Montgomery. And so 1 through 8 seeds on the FPO side, all filled in 1 through 8. So we're very excited to watch match play unfold. We've got some big news about the Tour Championship coming next week.
Awesome. Jeff, this is Matt from Disc Golf Pro Talk, Disc Golf Network. You know the history here. Maple Hill's the course where the Disc Golf Pro Tour is born, the first ever Disc Golf Pro Tour event. The Disc Golf Pro Tour has it's come a long way since then, the start of it, including media, fans, payouts, all that stuff. You've been a big part of driving that there. What area of growth are you most proud of since the inception of the Disc Golf Pro Tour?
I think the volume this year is probably what I'm most proud of, while keeping the high level of standards for the events. The growth of the Disc Golf Network has been past our wildest expectations, so I'd have to note that as well. So those two, I think just expansion while continuing to hit our standards and hopefully, basically live out the original vision and mission of the tour, which, we try to do. It's
been exciting. I'm sure you've been working on 2022 for a while now. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in if you have if you want to share any teasers or any announcements for what the fans and media can be looking forward to.
We are framing up 2022 to be the first year of the rest of the tour. So there's some big stuff we've been working on for years, really, and so we're hopeful to basically get that done, get things lined up, and kind of make some announcements as we come down the stretch and into the off season when it's appropriate. But the last couple of years have been kind of growth, and I think we've gotten to a point where we can actually see the vision of a professional sports league in all its trappings starting to formulate in a like a more meaningful way in the future. So I'm hopeful that 2022 will be full of great new juicy opportunities for everybody.
Hey, Jeff, chasing the bees here. I'm curious what went into maybe making that decision. It's a tradition here at Maple Hill for the amateurs to kind of play on that feature card. Why that change this year, and is that a change that will continue in the years to come?
Well, the amateurs will be featured in the Disc Golf Network media, and it's just hearing from the crew on the ground here and kind of seeing how the Disc Golf Network live broadcast has evolved and just working with the event team. So it wasn't necessarily our decision per se, but a collaborative decision. And I think that the AM side does have a special place here, and hopefully we continue to honor that in a different way going forward.
Jeff, one last open-ended question. Is there anything else that you can share with us? I know we've asked you, and you've got ideas and things going on, but what can you share with us that the world doesn't know about?
I'll choose my words carefully. I guess one of the announcements that we'll be looking forward to making next week is a new title sponsor for the Tour Championship. I won't announce that now, but we're excited about that to drop soon.
All right, everyone. That's Jeff Spring. Best of luck to you this weekend.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks, everybody.
Joining us now is our 5-time world champion and Paul McBeth. And Paul, last weekend we didn't see you playing competitively anywhere. Talk to the fans, talk to the world. What led to that decision?
It's just late in the season. I felt like taking a break. Delaware is one that I've played in the past. It's a tournament that I've won, but it just didn't feel like that was one that I needed to be at. Nothing against the tournament or anything, but yeah, I think national tour and I don't know, just excuse me, just didn't seem like one I needed to have on my schedule. I need water.
Oh,
I just
all
ate.
right, yeah, we'll get you something. 1 second, maybe.
I have it in my bag, Paige. That works. Sorry, I just ate right before coming up here.
All right, no worries.
All right, I'm good. Thank you.
I don't mean to make you that nervous. All right, so as you're collecting
set,
yourself
all
here,
set, yeah.
lots of special memories, of course, at this place. You know, a lot of people would immediately go back to the 45 that you shot all of those years ago. What is it for you? What stands out about Maple Hill?
This is one that it actually took me a while to get to in my career. I don't think I played it in the first like 4 or 5 years of playing professional disc golf or touring, but I'd always heard about it, and I'd seen videos of it prior to coming here. So it was just one that was always on my list to get to and go to, and then being here for the atmosphere. I remember the first couple of years I was here, there was a lot of festivity and games going on. You know, there was challenges and things like that. So it was like people were here until almost midnight, it felt like, every day of the tournament. And that's kind of gone away. But I think a lot of it kind of went away when COVID started popping up. So, you know, we'll see if it ever gets back to that. But yeah, just a lot of special memories out here. I've played well out here. It's one of the few courses that feels like it's got a good open mix, as well as a lot of wooded holes and a lot of water features, and just something that we don't get to experience a lot on tour. So, yeah, that added with a lot of other special memories has been a big thing to me here at this facility.
Yeah, and going back just a moment, you said that, you know, last weekend really just kind of a weekend off for you. We have a big push moving into the remainder of the season. What are some of the things that you're doing to gear yourself up for, you know, with how you've either paced yourself or what you're thinking about in these next 6 weeks or so?
Yeah, 6 events in the next 7 weeks. You know, it just seems like it seemed like this season was flying by, and then now we're here, and I still feel like I got 6 more events. And, you know, this year started with the All-Star event, you know, back in February, I think. And it just seems like the year has been going on for so long. So I'm ready for this year to end, get into the off season, and continue on, you know, focus on the next year. But yeah, trying to get focused into these last ones. I think that's where that 2-week break really became a key thing for me. So still feels like there's a long, you know, I guess quarter of the season left.
So my final question then, to follow that quickly, is, you know, last year you talked a lot about how you wanted to play as much as you could this year, kind of basically taking nothing for granted because we were cut so short in 2020. Do you see yourself being as active next year?
Yeah, I don't know how many events this will be for the year. You know, like I said, I got 6 more. And then we got the All-Star that doesn't count on to the PDJ. But it was more so signing up for a bunch because I didn't know what would happen, what wouldn't happen, you know, and then having that many on my schedule, I was able to skip Delaware, you know, and take one off, or maybe take another one off, I think, throughout the year somewhere. Yeah, Mid-America was another one that came to mind. So I just want to have as many tournaments on my schedule as possible in case anything did happen. And if everything did happen, I could take a week or 2 off. So I think next year will probably be somewhere in that 20-25 range again, and just pick and choose a little bit more. So, you know, I can focus on Worlds. I can be out there for a week and a half or 2, you know, go to Europe and maybe do some more stuff outside of just playing the event and such. So probably be a little bit more, you know, pick and choose next year.
Hey, Paul, Matt from Disc Golf Pro Talk here on the Disc Golf Network. You've performed well at this venue over the previous years. In fact, you have an opportunity to three-peat this year. You've also said, quote, if you can throw straight, you can place well at Maple Hill. Apparently, you're good at throwing straight. What are some other tips you think there are to performing well at Maple Hill?
Putting. I think putting is a huge thing here. You know, I think some key moments, you know, like when James won, he made that huge putt on 14. You know, when I think other players have won on this, they've had huge putts on 14. And that, you know, you got the water right behind it. And if you're off on your putting, that's not one that you're looking to make. You're probably stepping up and laying that one up. So you can say the similar thing on, you know, 5, even 4, 8, all those. A lot of these holes have water or trouble right by the basket. So I think that's a big key factor, as well as, you know, like you mentioned, throwing straight. But having some distance really puts you in some good spot as well.
Thanks for that. And the course changes. You've got a few chances to play them already. Hole 8, they pushed back. Hole 17, they pushed back. Do you like them? Are they favorable to your game? Do you think they should stay for future years?
I think they definitely took an easy birdie out of play on 17. 8, that was one where it was so close to the water. You know, it kind of gave you that opportunity to ace run it, gave you an opportunity to throw it in the water pretty easily, because we're so used to, which last year the reason I was able to finally figure that hole out was because I'm so used to just throwing the disc short and letting it slide up to the basket, to where that one, you had no room to land it short and let it slide up to the basket. So last year I finally figured it out and was like, all right, just throw it into the basket and let it slide past it. Don't leave it short. So I got the ace, and I got some controversy, and I also got it, I think, on the island at one point. So, yeah, so that one, pushing it back, now I feel like I can get a mid there, but if there's any kind of wind, I feel like I'm going to have to throw a driver, which in past years it was almost putter the whole way. So I think people that throw forehand there haven't really changed their shot. They're still throwing forehand, just maybe a different disc. So those are some significant changes because it's completely different disc I'm throwing off the tee now.
Hey, Paul, chasing the bees here. Obviously, you've been coming here for a while. I'm curious if there's a hole that you used to play that's designed differently that you wish you could play again.
What is different? I mean, I obviously know 16 is completely different. That was one. I think the first couple of years I came here, it was just the big water carry. Oh, and then the biggest one that's different, they used to have a par 5 out here, right? 12. Yeah. So that's one that I thought was really interesting playing. I think it was a better hole than what 12 is now. So I guess that's the one that stands out the most.
Okay. And I'm curious, how long have you been out here to be able to practice and prepare for this event?
Oh, for this event, I got here Sunday night. So just the typical Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yesterday was kind of a little bit of wash, but I think I got about 8 good holes in, 8 or 9 before it was absolutely miserable. So,
my final question would be, are you fully prepared? Are you ready to go for this weekend?
I'm going out right after this round. There's some things I want to work on. I've actually lost a lot more discs this year than I have previously, and I think it might just be the big change on 8. I've dumped a lot in on 8, trying to figure that one out. So 8 and 14, I feel like I throw a similar disc on, so I'm losing them on 8, and then 14 I get there, and I'm like, what am I throwing now? So definitely want to get out there, get a few more holes, and then always want to get some more practice putts in, especially leading into an event, especially one like this where I don't want to lay up on 14. I want to be stepping up to that one with the confidence that I'm going to make it.
All right, everyone, going for a 3rd title in a row. Paul McBeth, best of luck to you this weekend.
Thank you.
Joining us now is 5-time world champion Paige Pierce. And Paige, I feel like I asked this question all around the country of you, but do you know how many times you've walked away a champion from this tournament?
Steve Dodge told me yesterday I've won 6 out of the last 7 years here. I think those are my only titles. I don't think I've won any prior to that. So
correct. I was doing some research. 6 out of the last 7. You had a 6th place finish in 2018. And then in 2011 and 12, the first 2 years that you were here, or 12 and 13, correction, you finished 4th. So very successful here. I feel like I've also heard you talk about this being one of your favorite tracks in the country. Elaborate on that.
Yeah, hands down, favorite course in the world. I think it has so much versatility. First of all, it's just incredibly beautiful. And then, you know, you have water carries, you have downhill shots, uphill shots, you have side slopes, you have death putts at water. And there's holes that you throw putter, mid-range, fairway, driver. You throw every single different type of shot out here. So I really enjoy not stepping up to the next hole and have the same disc in your hand. You know, chances are you're going to be changing your disc on every single shot, and I find that very interesting, and it kind of makes you feel like you're scrambling even when you're on the tee pad.
This morning, or in the last day or two, you've also been caught up with some other things that aren't necessarily just practice. You play and reaching out with that organization. Talk a little bit about some of the activities that you've been doing leading into this event.
Yeah, this morning was the UPlay Community Connection. Zoe Andike, the founder of UPlay, they are working alongside the Disc Golf Pro Tour to bring disc golf into schools that were nearby. So some of us that are affiliated with UPlay are going to be in the schools teaching classes. So this morning I was there for a few hours. I thought it was going to be raining today, and when I came out of the gym and it was sunny, I was like, all right, I got to get my press conference over with so I can go practice. So I didn't think today was going to be a practice day, but yeah, I got here last Thursday, so I've gotten 4 rounds in already. And like you said, I feel very comfortable on this course, so I'm excited to get one more round in this nice weather before we start. But yeah, lots of stuff's been going on. I had some van troubles. So a local here has been helping me with the electric, and that's kind of been my afternoons, playing a morning round, working on the van afterwards.
Well, my last question is, you said that you were here Thursday, and what that also meant is notably you weren't at Delaware last weekend. You're one of the biggest names in the FPO field that wasn't present. What led the decision to not compete at that event?
There's quite a bit of reasons that I was not at Delaware. I actually wasn't intending on playing at all, so I didn't sign up for the tournament. And then I just started to feel like maybe I will play. And so I got myself on the wait list. I ended up getting in, and then I realized, you know, I still don't want to play. It's kind of like a peaceful protest of the PDJ National Tours. I'm more committed to the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I think they're more committed to the Disc Golf Professional, so that is where I want to put my stake in. But another big reason was I got injured. You saw me, actually. An hour after I tapped in my final putt at Idlewild, I fell and hurt myself pretty good. But I'm back to 100% as of like maybe 6 or 7 days ago. So I took about a week and a half off, not throwing any discs, not really walking too much either. And then, yeah, after I felt like I was in position to, like, my body felt back to 100%, just started to hit the course really hard. Obviously, taking a week and a half off of touching a disc, you kind of get a little rusty, even at the top level of the game. So, yeah, it was just a lot of reps, putting, throwing. So I'm very happy I got here early, and, you know, blessing in disguise that I did not have to play in Delaware.
Hey, Paige. Matt, Disc Golf Pro Talk here on the Disc Golf Network. As Terry just said, you've won 6 of the past 7. You perform well here. And as he also said, it's your favorite course, or you've been noted as saying that. Do you perform well because it's your favorite course, or is it your favorite course because you perform well?
I think it started off it wasn't a course that I played well at, because people have this feeling that Paige Pierce doesn't play good in the woods, and I kind of let that get to me at the beginning. And then it was kind of like this motivation of like, oh, you don't think I play good in the woods? Well, I'm going to show you how well I can do at Maple Hill. And now I think it's just, I mean, it's always been my favorite course just because of all the activities here. We're in this game room where all the players come together. We all camp on site, and after our rounds, we're all up here playing air hockey or pool or ping pong. So that vibe is just really cool. And then, like I said, how beautiful the course is and how versatile the shots are. But I think that all of those things make me so excited to come here, and that's why I play well here, is because I'm excited about life. When I walk up to the tee, I'm not dreading, oh, another backhand hyzer. I'm looking at the hole, and every single hole out here is a signature hole. I think if any of these holes were on another course, it would be the best hole on that course. So I find myself to be very excited when I come here, and that is what I think leads to my success.
Thank you. As you mentioned, everything, unlike some venues, everything is located right here on site, including the game room we're sitting in now. Steve Dodge has run many side activities here over the years. Do you have any favorite side activities? And if not, maybe a favorite game in the game room?
Yeah, I mean, all of them are entertaining. I don't do the pie eating, but it's just funny to watch Jerm shove his face with a pie. And then, yeah, I think that that's actually one of the first things that made me excited was seeing that, okay, when the round is over, not everyone goes away. We're playing like accuracy or putting, and it just keeps people engaged with each other the whole time. And that's kind of how the disc golf community is. So my favorite, I think I just love playing ping pong. So you'll find me up there most of the nights.
Awesome, ping pong. And then finally, over the past few years, there's been a group out on hole 8 known as the 8 holes. In general, it seems like they pump up the players, but how does that affect your gameplay, hearing them cheering maybe across the whole venue while you're out there playing?
Oh my gosh, the 8 holes are my favorite. I absolutely love it. I think, you know, we as players are very excited to throw, so it's cool to hear and feel and see that everybody else is excited as well. We know that there's lots of viewers at home that are excited, but we can't hear or feel that. So having them on the bleachers, jumping up and down, making banners, signs, yelling even at people over on hole 14, it's, yes, maybe you're going to get distracted at some point, but welcome to sports, right? If you're playing football, every single person in that stadium is screaming at you, so we better get used to it.
Hey, Paige, Chasing the Bees here to kind of follow up with that. I've seen you out there many times with the 8 holes.
Yep.
Obviously playing in the afternoon. Do you see yourself kind of finding yourself in the morning with them to kind of watch some action, or kind of more focused and prepping?
Yeah, it's different teeing later in the afternoon. That would definitely be my choice of activity if I was playing in the morning. I think it's different for me playing in the afternoon because I don't want to wear myself out before my round starts. I want to be in a good mindset. I want to make sure I'm eating my meals at times that I'm going to be sustained through my round. But there being bleachers and stuff, that might be something that I do instead of following a card around. Just go chill on the bleachers and watch some cool shots come in on one of the signature holes. I'll probably be out there at least one of the days.
All right. And last question, I was curious, as you mentioned, kind of a protest a little against the national tour events. I'm curious what they need to do to kind of get you back into those events.
Let Jeff Spring and the Pro Tour team take over, personally. I mean, you know, I'm always honest and candid, and I think that they have the vision. They have the clear path to success, and I think that there's no shame in passing the torch over. It's clear that the Disc Golf Pro Tour events are ran to the highest level that we've ever had. So let's just pass the torch over.
All right, well, Paige Pierce also going for her 3rd title in a row out here at the MVP Open. Best of luck to you this weekend.
Thank you very much.
And joining us now is a two-time winner here at Maple Hill, and Ricky Wysocki. And Rick, last weekend playing at the National Tour in Delaware, coming here also to the wooded course and really the wooded section of the country and the tour. How are you feeling about it?
Feeling great. I took an off week heading into last week, heading into Delaware, and my game wasn't fully ready to play in Delaware, but I took a week off, didn't touch a disc, just needed to reset and get ready for the final stretch of the season. I played solid. I had some good rounds out there. I played consistent, which is hard to do at Iron Hill. A lot of times you're going to play one good round, one mediocre round, or vice versa. But yeah, I kept it consistent. I think I shot a 6 under, and 8 under the final round. Made a little push and had a chance to win late in the tournament. Didn't get it done, but I was overall happy with how I played. Pretty consistent.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're almost downplaying your performance, but yet you finished second at one of the toughest tracks out there. Of course, a few weeks ago, we saw you take back-to-back first-place finishes, a 7th at Idlewild. You're trending in the right direction. Your game feels or appears to be pretty solid to everyone else. How do you feel like it is?
I feel good. I've been playing a lot of practice rounds. It's been rainy the last couple days, so I didn't think I was going to be able to play today. But I got an early practice round in. I like to play early, beat the crowds, and I can throw a lot of shots, and there's not a lot of groups out there, so I play early, beat the crowds, and get the best practice I can. And so I did that. I'm going to do a little practice putting session later. It's been pretty windy out here, so you got a lot of good wind reps if one of the rounds happens to be windy, so that's good. And yeah, overall, my game's come a long way since Iron Hill. Since that week off, it takes a little bit extra reps once you take that much time off at our level. So I'm feeling a lot better, and my game's in a great spot right now.
I'm not going to call you out exactly, but you sound a lot like Paige Pierce a few minutes ago. She said she sometimes has to knock the rust off, even with just 1 week off for our top-level competitors. And she also said she loves playing and having different shots every time she walks onto a tee pad here. She's always pulling out a different disc. Nothing's repetitive. Does that suit your game as well? And do you have a similar response? Or
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're throwing a lot of the same shots?
Yeah, I think some courses out there on tour, you can say, oh, I'm throwing a lot of drivers, I'm throwing a lot of, sidearms or whatever. But out here, there's open shots, there's wooded shots, there's hilly shots, there's sidearms, there's water. So there's just every variable you need to make a great course. So that's a great point that she said that you're pulling out a different shot every hole. So we really are, and so that's why your game has to be well-rounded, and you see the most well-rounded players win here. I think you don't see sidearm dominant players or maybe backhand dominant players. You see a lot of players like Barsby. He plays really well here. He throws a really good backhand sidearm combo. So players like that play really well because you need to fade away from the water sometimes, and it's a lot easier to do that, especially when it gets windy and the wind's pushing against a backhand shot. So there's a couple holes that make a big difference that you have in both spins, being able to fade away from the water when you need it.
Well, and speaking of fadeaways and the water, hole 14, one of the most memorable shots really I've ever witnessed was you were off short and to the left. You were trying to make it on hole number 14. That was the 2015 event out here. First year of the Pro Tour, everything else going on. Do you remember that putt when you were off to the left and you had a 50-footer with water directly behind the basket? And do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. It's funny because I think in 2017 I had a very similar putt, and it was either 16 or 17, but I seemed to land in that spot like short left of the basket. That's kind of like a collection area, whereas most people lay up, but I've made that putt a couple times, so I've got a lot of confidence. That is a death putt, and it's me making that a couple times down the stretch in the tournament is a big confidence boost. So that is something I can dig deep if I need it, and if I get in that spot where I need to make that putt again, I know how it feels. I know how the release needs to be to make it. So that's some experience I can keep in the back of my head if I need it coming down the stretch on 15. So I'm excited to hopefully pull that out if I need to.
Well, we're looking forward to what happens as we close out the event. Here's Matt.
Hey, Rick, Matt from Disc Golf Pro Talk, Disc Golf Network here. You've won a good amount this year, and at this point in the season, I think you're definitely in the conversation for Player of the Year. But it seems like it's getting harder for you and other top performers to win consistently. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel like it's getting harder? What's the future of the sport look like?
Yeah, it is. I think that, in years past, if I played well, I would win. And if if maybe my game wasn't perfect, I could still find a way to win. And now it's turned to the point where my game's got to be got to be top notch every week. Otherwise, I'm not going to win. So that's something that's in my control still. I can still go out there and win, knowing, get myself prepared week in and week out. It's a little harder, like I said, taking off weeks. Maybe not so much if you want to play well every single weekend, but mentally you kind of need that to recover the body, physically, mentally, all that. But yeah, there's a lot of players playing well, and there's still a handful of players that separate themselves. If their game's playing at a high level, then nobody can really touch us. Me, Eagle, and a couple other players this year. But yeah, I think us two in general have the most wins. We're playing the best, most consistent golf, and that goes a long way in the standings. And for, like you said, Player of the Year. So I think it's battle between me and Eagle, really.
Yeah, it seems kind of like it's falling more in line with maybe the PGA, or it could eventually. Do you see that being the case where, like, hey, 1 win or 2 wins a year is going to be good enough in the future?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think that, getting a couple wins a year as opposed to, like, a couple years ago, if you don't win 5 or 10 tournaments, you're not having a good year. And so this year, I think I have 4 wins. It feels great. I think, I'm playing amazing golf. Even though I'm not winning, I'm getting second place. I'm right there in the hunt. And that's something to be proud of for me, knowing the skill of all the players that I'm playing against week in and week out. So players like Kyle, players like Connor last week, they're just playing great, and it's awesome to see it. It's awesome to have new blood pushing me to play my best, and it's super exciting for the sport and for the fans to have something new to watch, new skill set, new players attacking these courses that they've seen on tour for years. So I'm glad to still be in the picture, and I'm just I'm playing well, and I'm here to stay. I think I'm just hitting my stride as far as my prime, and super exciting.
All right, so there's a few course changes out there, hole 8 and hole 17. If you want to focus on both, that's fine, but hole 8 specifically, fans are going to see that it's harder for everybody to get there on the green as they used to in years past. Do you like the change? How does it play to your game?
Yeah, I think that the hole 8's about, 60 feet farther, and you have a little bit more of a gap to hit, and the wind's a lot more of a factor. So that 60 feet plays a big difference when you're throwing that shot. You're throwing maybe a fairway or a driver instead of a mid or a putter like you would from the shorter tee like we played last year. So there's always a gallery. It's going to be fun to throw some shots, hopefully give some ace runs. I think you'll still see a lot of ace runs because I think people are going to be upgrading to maybe a higher disc, maybe a fairway. So they'll give the basket a chance to go in the basket if they're throwing the faster disc because of the distance of the tee pad. And then hole 17, that's a similar thing. It's about 60 feet farther, so it requires a lot farther of a shot to get to that landing zone. I know last year, the far throwers were getting a chance to get a jump putt for an easy 3, maybe a 2. Now it's there's really not going to be any 2s. You'll see, if you throw a great shot, you might have a really easy upshot, but it's really hard to get that first shot to a point where it's like almost an easy up and down. So you're going to see a lot more players playing from the trees that are short of the landing zone, and it's going to be a lot trickier of a 3 than it was in years past.
Right. Hey, Rick, Chasing the Bees here. Last year, hole 14, very windy conditions, just like today. Obviously, you had a pocket of wind that kind of just smacked that disc into the ground. Do you feel like you're going to attack that with a different approach this year? Have you been able to practice it in these conditions to kind of get a feel for what the hole is going to be like?
Yeah, so 14 is the downhill shot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been practicing a lot. I think I'm going to still throw the over-the-top shot. That's it's over-the-top hyzer, right? At 13? Okay. So 14, yeah. So 14 is over the water shot. Yeah. So that hole can be tricky when it gets windy for sure. I think that's why me and Terry were talking about me landing to the left. I think that's the bailout spot. A lot of people end up going left because they don't want to go in the water, but then you got that death putt coming over. So that's what makes the variable of the hole so tough, is because you want to land left of the basket, but then you got that putt over. But I'm really there's like a hill that's about 30 feet to the left of the basket. It's like an upslope. I'm trying to hit into that and just kind of stop it. So that way I'm having like a 28 to 32 foot putt. Putting back at the water, I like my chances a lot better than having to hit like maybe a 50-footer every time and make it hard on myself.
And I'm just curious, have you got any large bills from Airbnbs with all the ice you're taking for those ice buckets?
Yeah, no, actually, I'm going to go back and do an ice bath later. I'm staying with the host, Mike Pileski. He's a local guy. And so I'm staying with him. I'm going to use his bathtub and be buying a lot of ice from the gas station.
Well, the season is cooling down. I think those ice baths are going to get even colder. Ricky Wysocki, a 2-time champ here. Best of luck to you the rest of the weekend.
Thanks, guys.
And joining us now is Sarah Hokom. And Sarah, looking back at last year at this event, you finished runner-up, and you were just a single stroke off of that top score. You also opened with a 57, so you were playing great golf out here, average 990. As I'm thinking about all those things, what are you recalling from last year's performance here?
I recall another one got away. I feel like I'm always in the hunt at this tournament, and I've won it twice, but I'm always really close to winning it. And so I remember that one hurt a little bit.
Yeah, when you're playing 990 rated golf, often that's going to win a tournament that we see in the FPO division. Does that speak to the level of competition of where we're at right now with so many women coming in and week out, and just the great golf that can be played?
Certainly. The talent level is really high, especially this year, and I would assume for the years to come. So yeah, even if you shoot really great golf, it doesn't guarantee you the win. All the things have to come together, and some of your competitors have to maybe not play so great.
This weekend, a flagship event for MVP. I feel like they really jumped on board and helped take over everything that's so magical about Maple Hill. Years ago, I know that the entire house, Steve Dodge's house, completely filled with MVP enthusiasts and workers. What does this mean to you in terms of an event that's just so important and it has such a high profile?
Yeah, so this event already feels like me coming home to a little bit of a family reunion, even without MVP sponsoring it. So now combine that with now MVP is a huge player here. There's MVP assets all over the course, and then the whole team staying at the house. So it's even team bonding, family reunion. I feel really comfortable out here.
And maybe speaking of that comfortability, which is not so comfortable for me to say, it's speaking to that. You've been one of the biggest proponents about tee pads and playing the best possible golf that fits all of the skill sets for our FPO field. I feel like Steve Dodge has been one of the biggest champions of that exact same method. What are the conversations you guys have had, maybe here even in 2021, about the course designs and what you guys are thinking about when he's making adjustments to this course?
Well, I actually haven't had any input on this year's course design or the changes that happened. But I will say that Steve Dodge and his vision of good course design is really what inspired me and kind of clued me into the need for FPO tee pads. I mean, he was one of the original proponents of it. He was one of the original people that tried different things. I mean, it was mostly because, the FPOs couldn't get over the water on a few of the holes. And so he's like, okay, well, I guess we need to do something a little bit different because this isn't fair. This isn't fun. And so he started making a couple of changes. And then it's like, well, wait, how come we don't have a shorter tee here too? And then it's just kind of slowly evolved. And now, thankfully, the rest of the course design world has started to get some ideas and make some changes that make the golf better.
Hey Sarah, Matt, Disc Golf Pro Talk here on the Disc Golf Network. You just talked about actually clearing the water and FPO division being a fairly significant thing. Hole 8 is now pushed back to where the MPO gold used to be. Do you feel like that's a good change? Are you clearing the water? Is most of the field clearing the water? How do you feel about that change?
I think most of the field clearing the water is an overestimation. Yeah, it's far. And the water, just in general, throwing over water actually has the effect of kind of dropping the disc. So, even though 300 feet doesn't seem like that far to clear the water, the intimidation and then just the water kind of sucking the disc down is going to be a major factor. I struggled to get over the water a few times. If the wind picks up, we're going to see a lot of discs in the water, and I would say that there's, quite a few people in the field that simply just can't clear it. And actually, bringing that up, I'm pretty sure when the MPOs moved to that gold tee was when we started getting short tee pads. So it was actually the whole 8 that was the original inspiration for FPO tee pads. And so now it's kind of ironic that we're actually playing from that tee pad.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. You performed really well here, as Terry mentioned a little bit ago. What is it about your game that allows you to do that performance here at Maple Hill?
I think it just takes a lot of technical angle control. and a lot of tight holes. And I think there's a lot of danger. So my strength is playing conservative and hitting tight lines. So I think I may not be able to get all the birdies on the course, but I think I minimize the bogeys and get birdies when I can to get me under par.
Hey, Sarah, Chasing the Bees here. I've seen you and your teammates out in the field at events a lot more supporting one another on the bag and giving each other advice. What does that mean to you to have that kind of support?
Yeah, there's so many more players out on the road from Team MVP now, and we just all have a really good relationship with each other. So, you know, we're not kind of like exclusive, like, oh, we're Team MVP. You know, like we love everybody else too, but it has been really awesome to play practice rounds with each other, and then having, you know, just someone who knows your bag and knows the disc lineup that can give you that little bit of chatter on the bag when you need to make a decision that's kind of up in the air.
And I'm curious what hole you feel like out here you need to really fine tune this weekend that you feel like isn't, you know, right there yet.
Like all of them? No. They all have to be fine tuned. No, I'm really close. There's a couple holes that are kind of given, you know, 5 over the water. I throw the tight gap over the water. That one was, I was struggling on that one early in the week. And then I'm debating about whether to go for the green on 1. Because I feel like I need the extra strokes, but also that can be very penalizing when you miss it. And there's nothing easy about throwing it, you know, basically 280 to 300 feet into that gap. So that one, and then 11 and 12, those two in a row, they're just, you have to get so much distance on both of the shots. And the technicality of 12's approach is certainly something to dial in. I do have a pretty good game plan, so we'll see if I can execute it.
All right, and my final question for you, Sarah, is you're one of the few women that's been able to take a title from this event. Take us all the way back to the first time when you won here and what that meant to you.
Oh, yeah, 2011. Me and Nate Doss won that year, and it's hard to remember all of the details from that, you know, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, or whatever, what year that was. But I do recall that being one of my biggest first wins. Even though it wasn't my first NT win, it was the one where all the best players were there, and the technicality of these shots, having to execute everything and keep your disc dry, keep them in the fairway, and then jumping in the pond at the end. I remember that very fondly, and I look forward to possibly doing that again. In fact, in 2018, James Conrad and I both won, and I remember that being really special, especially because I ended up playing for MVP the next year, and now James is on the team. So it's maybe we can do another repeat.
Sounds like a plan. I remember 2011. I remember being here, watching you win, and my thought was, this woman has arrived. Whoever she is, whatever she's doing, she's serious. She's on the tour, and if you can win here, that means you've got all the skills needed, and you went on to win the World Championship the next year. So proved everybody right there. All right, Sarah Hokom has won here twice before. We wish you the best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
And joining us now is Erica Johnson. Erica, there's not a lot of Massachusetts representation here at the event. However, you, of course, one of a couple women in the field. How does it feel that the entire world is watching this iconic place and you're representing the home state?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing seeing this event grow every single year. I think 2014 was the first year I played, and I want to say there was maybe only 12 or 14 of us. So every year seeing this event just, snowball with the women has been incredible.
Is there any specific memory that you can go back on that you think about here at this event for yourself or for, we'll say, the FPO division or anything else?
Just seeing the caliber of play come out here every year, seeing it increase and seeing more of them has been absolutely amazing. I could come out here closer to my pro career and shoot pretty high in the rankings, and now it's just the competition keeps getting more stiff, and it's incredible to watch.
Yeah, and speaking of your play, I noticed that this weekend will be your 100th PDGA tournament. Were you aware of that?
I am now. So I've been keeping an eye on it, but that was a good reminder.
What does that mean? I mean, because so many people, there's people that have this place on their bucket list to come play. You're playing in your 100th event.
Yep.
What does that mean for you in your career?
It's amazing, and to be able to do it at Maple Hill is just next level. It's not a home course for me, but it's only about 2 hours. So in addition, this is probably about my 100th time through this course, to be honest. So I absolutely love it here.
I noticed you have 48 wins out of the 99 opportunities, so it would be great to see a performance. What do you feel like it would take to surpass so many of the incredible fellow competitors you have? What would you need to do this weekend to get past them?
I know my landing zones. I just have to hit them. It's about executing those shots. I know my way around this woods pretty well. It's just getting those discs to go where I need them to go and hitting those shots.
Hey Erica, Matt from Disc Golf Pro Talk here on the Disc Golf Network. You just mentioned this is probably more than 100 times you've played here. What do you think about this specific FPO layout? It's kind of new. It's called the Diamond layout. Some changes even in the recent month or so.
Yep.
How does this layout stretch your limits as a player?
I absolutely love it. I don't see too much difference because I'm still leaning so much on that the original layout that the FPOs were playing. But all of the changes I think they've made out here have been just straight up improvement. So I absolutely love it.
Okay, so go back 100 times ago when you came to Maple Hill your very first time. Do you remember some of the feelings or thoughts you had when you came onto this property?
Oh, it was absolutely overwhelming. I mean, I didn't have the skills to play a layout like this. I think I played the red layout quite a bit, but that's what's so amazing about this course. You have all the different layouts for all the different abilities, and you can just keep coming back here and keep working your way up.
Thanks. Hey, Erica, Chasing the Bees here. Last year you took a year off, kind of things in life, kind of refocused yourself.
Yep.
Came back pretty strong this year. How are you feeling coming into the season and this event in general? Where's your game at? What things do you need to work on?
I'm feeling good. I've been competing nonstop since 2014. So with the pandemic, I did take a year off, and then this year, weaning back into it and trying to pick up where I left off. I haven't played a big event since fall 2019, so this is going to be, it for me, jumping back in the deep end.
And also, could you speak on the local scene in general? Obviously, I've been fortunate enough to be able to see you at some of the other events. Normally, honestly, selfishly, I see you, and I always think that you're going to be the #1 player at these events. The field's grown in this area.
It is.
How can you talk about that?
It is. The field for FPO is growing very fast, and last year was the year I took a little bit of a break, and it's the year that everyone else hit the gas. So I gotta get going.
And I'm curious, what holes have you not played here last year? And seeing some of these changes, not so much the first time because you've been here a bunch, but what holes do you still need to fine-tune specifically?
Absolutely. Hole 8 has been fine-tuned to switch for the women, playing the old men's gold. Just a further shot over the water. You still need to finesse it, but more power. So that one's a bit of a new one for me.
Erica, and my final question for you would be, if someone's thinking about making a trek out here or to the area to play golf, what would you say to them if they were coming to this facility for the first time ever?
Give yourself a week or a few days because you're not going to want to leave. It's absolutely incredible here. Don't cut yourself short.
All right, and I'm sorry, I do have one more after that is, speaking to the regionality, Other events. We see that you play, about a dozen or so local events or semi-local events. What are some of the other events and/or activities people should be taking in, whether it's courses or tournaments that people should have on the radar if they're going to come out here to Maple Hill?
Oh, absolutely. Green Mountain Championships. I mean, that's next on the list. And Nantucket. Don't forget about Nantucket. It's worth the trip. And there's always a tournament there every year. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, we wish you the best of luck this weekend for your 100th PDGA event. That's Erica Johnson. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And joining us now is Kyle Klein. And Kyle, some people would talk about seeing you break out at this event last year in terms of your professional career. Of course, the success on the Next Gen Tour, you taking that down a few years ago, but putting you on the biggest stage in the brightest lights on one of the toughest courses. What do you think back to just a year ago when you shot that 7 under and you found yourself on the lead card at this event?
I was just kind of starstruck, you know. It's like I came in with that round. I thought it was pretty solid because I've never been here before, so I wasn't familiar with like how the course played and like scoring wise. And I came in and people were saying 7 under is like really good, and I'm like, is it though? And I came in and it turns out I was on lead card. I'm like, oh, I guess so. And it was just like a cool experience finding myself like sitting watching all the other scores come in, finding out who I'm going to be on lead card with. At the end of the day, it was I think it was Fish and then Paul and who was the last one? I think Double G maybe.
Yeah, it was an incredible cast, and I remember thinking to myself, commentating from the other side of the country, as you were just saying, yeah, it was likely, it looked like it was McBeth, and then it was Girthy, as you said, to round it out.
Okay.
How do you maintain? How did you calm some of those nerves and feelings? You're a very different player now, and you're that much more established now. But a year ago, again, those were the brightest lights.
Yeah. I think part of my success at that tournament was just knowing that, like, after round one, I got a little bit aggressive on one hole, and just like that, you can take a bogey or worse. And I kind of realized, be patient and just like know your misses on this course. That's kind of what I kept in mind, is know my miss. Like if I'm going to miss this way or throw off to this side of the fairway, or kind of that idea.
So fair to say you picked up some lessons along the way. You ultimately went on to finish 4th. Do you remember the 3 people that were in front of you?
Yeah, Paul McBeth, Ricky Wysocki, and Calvin.
And now here we are knowing that at a place like Idlewild a few weeks ago, another wooded facility or another wooded venue and course, you've bested these guys. You can officially hang with them and then some. What are your expectations coming into this weekend?
I have a lot of high expectations. Like, even like, God, what's the word? But my expectations, especially after last year, because my first year here I got 4th, and coming into this I'm like, that's a high bar to raise, But I think especially after Idlewild, that's kind of a similar course to this. I think I have a good chance finishing in that top 3, not taking it down.
All right. Well, that sounds like a very hard bar to set, as you said, and we're looking forward to seeing how you handle it. Here's Matt Graham.
Hey, Matt from Disc Golf Pro Talk here on the Disc Golf Network. Your performances have been getting a lot of attention, including congratulations on your win at Idlewild.
Thank you.
It seems as if something has really clicked with your game. We saw it at Mid-America, maybe starting that where you won Mid-America, and then you went on to place really high from there on out. Then the win at Idlewild. Do you feel like this is something fans should continue to expect? Are you setting the bar very high for yourself? Should we see more wins this season even?
I hope so. I hope to see more wins, but I just think, like, at the beginning of the season, I had all the facets of my game were there. I just had a little bit of a hard time putting them together all in one tournament. I think even, starting at Mid-America, they all started to come together and work in line with each other. And that kind of propelled me to some great finishes.
I have to be honest, on one of my shows that I do, I feel like I'm relating you to the way Eagle kind of started out in performing, and I see a lot of that same sky is the limit for you. Do you feel like we should expect to see that you would be, from here on out, someone who's in contention to win?
I think so. Just based on how my last couple tournaments have been, I think that's not the crazy thing at all.
All right, and then finally, here at Maple Hill, it's obviously a very testing course in a lot of ways. You may or may not recognize the change to hole 8. Do you feel like that's a good change? It's been talked about by a few of the players. Do you like that?
I'm starting to like it a little bit more. I didn't like it at first because, especially with coming out of that tunnel, there's 60, 70 feet of woods and you have to come out of that tunnel and you don't really know what the wind's doing. So you could throw a great shot and just get screwed over by the wind. Whereas the shorter tee pad, you could feel the wind and you could adjust to that. But I think it's a little more challenging. There's a little bit more separation because it's either going to be like a 2 or a 4, I think. because if you're going to make the island, you're most likely making the putt. But if you miss it, it's a scary drop zone to run. And it is a little bit harder. You have to throw fairways now. Well, most people. Some people can throw putters and mids, but I have to throw fairway. And that's hard to stick on that like shallow of a green front to back with a fairway driver. It's going to skip pretty far.
Kyle, chasing the bees here. I was curious what you feel maybe is the hardest hole, or what's for the hardest hole for you last season to kind of dial in when you were at this event. Obviously, we just talked about hole 8, but if there's another hole that kind of stands out to you.
Hole 13. Okay. I want to say I bogeyed that hole every round, maybe 2 out of 3. I think I know I bogeyed it rounds 2 and 3. I don't know. I just can't get that hole dialed. It's just a mid-range shot, but I couldn't figure it out. But I think I've got it now.
And what have you been throwing that you feel like has been the disc for you on that hole?
I think it's been like a combination of like finding the right disc and good winds. Because last year there was like right to left headwind, left to right headwind, and it was just really hard to get it down in that tunnel to get a putt. But now there's been tailwinds in practice, and I've been throwing MD3s just right down it.
Okay. And obviously, I see you purchased a new vehicle. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Did that vehicle make the trip out here?
It did. It did.
Does it still have that new car smell, or does it smell like a disc golf locker room now?
It's still there a little bit, but it's definitely fading away.
We're looking forward to the build out and all the adventures that come with that. One of my final questions for you then would be, you recently moved into 5th in the rankings, right behind the famous 1050 boys. What does that mean to you, and did you ever envision yourself with a 5th place ranking in the world for disc golf?
Not this soon. I didn't envision this soon, but it definitely feels really good knowing that the only people that are ranked better than me are the people I've been looking up to and following for years. So it's a weird but awesome feeling.
Last question then is, how do you get past them?
Keep playing my best. It's the only way to get past them, is just keep playing the way I know how.
All right, everyone, that's Kyle Klein. We saw him with an incredible performance here last year. We're looking forward to more of the same here in the 2021 version. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. Hailey King is now joining us. And Hailey, we were just talking about your plans, your travel. When did you arrive to Maple Hill, and what were your trips like?
I think we got in Monday night, and it was an 18-hour drive. Maria Leva and Lindsay Rodans helped me drive all the way here, so it was pretty easy. We made it in 18 hours. That was nice. And yeah, we already got a couple days of practice in, so it's feeling good.
So that answers the question about last weekend. We saw a number of our players kind of take the weekend off or do other things, tend to other things. That's exactly what you were doing, it sounds like. Recent van addition in your life, or a recent purchase to a van? Is that what you're working on right now?
Yeah, so I actually went home after Idlewild, and I bought a van about a month before Idlewild, and my caddy and my best friend Lindsay came home with me and helped me build it out for like 2 weeks, and we've got a lot done already, so yeah.
That was my next question. Is you say a lot. It feels like those are always a work in progress. How much more work do you feel like you have to do yet?
There's still a good amount of work left, but I feel like we got all the hard stuff done, or at least the stuff that I thought was going to be hard. So, I don't know, I feel like it's definitely going to be done within like a month, but that's when I get home after tour.
So what does that mean to you? I mean, it's a huge step. It's essentially your home on the road. What does that mean to you and how you travel and how you play out your professional career? What does that all mean?
I think it's going to be great for my career, and I think it's going to help a lot of problems that I've been having this year. So I'm really excited for it, and I just know it's going to be good.
Now that you're here, you said you got in Monday. A few events we've seen you get to town, but not necessarily get a lot of reps in out on the course. What has been, and then weather came in as a factor certainly over the last few days. What have you been able to do to get yourself prepped for this weekend?
We actually played a rain round, and I do not do those often, but it was a lot of fun. I played with Madison Walker and Erica Stinchcomb, so we actually got rain practice if it rains this weekend, but nothing too bad. Just trying to take it easy and keep going.
And speak to the value of that. Some people say, well, there's rain out there. I don't want to go play in rain, but you have to practice it eventually, right? So
yeah.
Speak to the value of that. And maybe anything you learned specifically yesterday.
Well, I have always refused to play in the rain. Like since day one, it's been a no-go. And my friend Lindsay actually found this stuff for your hands that dry your hands. So you have to apply it every couple of holes, but it keeps your hands dry in the rain, and that's what I need. So I did that yesterday in the rain, and it worked. So we're doing good, yeah.
I smell a sponsorship opportunity coming along. Is that what you're working on?
That would be cool, yeah.
All right, here's Matt.
Hey, Hailey, Matt from Disc Golf Pro Talk here on the Disc Golf Network. So your mental game, it's a big part of disc golf. As you know, you seem to control your outward emotions really well out there on the course. But how would you describe your mental game while playing a competitive series event like Maple Hill, for instance? How do you feel with your mental game?
My mental game has actually been really good this year. That's the one thing that I've been focusing on. Just there's a lot of other stuff going on, so that's what I've been keeping my eye on, and it's feeling really good. I'm at the point where I'm in competitions where I still have the beginner's mindset, which Brian Earhart and all my friends have been talking about. That's a key part to like being one of the top pros, is like you can't expect that you're going to make every single shot. You can't be upset if you do that. So having the beginner's mindset is something that I've been trying to focus on, and it's been helping a lot.
Awesome. So you've been out here before. Do you remember hole 8 with the gallery there called 8 holes? How does that affect your gameplay? Does it pump you up? Does it make you more nervous? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
I think it's awesome. I think people, sharing the same love for the sport that we all have is just awesome. Them being out there, I think it pumps me up, seeing people hoping for you to ace and everything. So I think it's great, and we should keep doing that.
Awesome. Just staying with hole 8, the change is for the FPO is now where the original MPO gold was. Do you like the change? You seem like you can throw far enough, but do you like the change for the whole division or even for yourself?
I like the change because I think it's just a straighter ace run for us, backhand or forehand. It is a little farther, so if it's windy, it's a little bit harder to reach, and I think it's going to be a lot harder for the FPO field, but it's not supposed to be windy, so I think we should all do pretty well on it.
Hailey, chasing the bees here. I'm curious to know what sort of coping mechanisms, what sort of tools do you have in place? Obviously, you talked about being on the course and kind of keeping that beginner mindset, How do you keep that in place? I know you have family on the bag at times. Is someone going to be here on the bag this week to kind of be there to support you?
So I think my friend Lindsay will be caddying for me this week. We might take a break because she's been with me for a long time, and we just kind of want a break. And yeah, when I'm on the course, I just try to keep my breathing calm. And if I'm bored and if I find myself distracted, I just try to play some hacky sack and get back into my zone. But yeah.
Okay. And I'm curious, what holes you feel like you need to dial in? What holes you feel like in the past you feel like you should be able to get and birdie, but maybe you haven't been able to?
So I think I believe it's hole 5, the downhill one, and that's 4. That hole, it's just right there, and I think everyone wants to get the birdie on that hole, but I think hole 6 is my worst enemy so far, and yeah, I got to get that one down.
And as you just said, hole 4, shortest hole on the course, and it's right there for you. What have you tried, and then what's your game plan now for that one?
I've always just done the little backhand hyzer and just hope to land within circle, but this year I think I'm going to go forehand through the center with like a zone or something. But whatever I'm feeling at the tee is what I'm going to do.
Have you even thought about the forehand roller or the overhand or anything like that off that?
Ooh.
Is it frustrating to get to a hole, like you said, that's of that nature, that's so short, it's downhill, to make it yet even easier? How frustrating is it that you haven't dialed that one in yet?
It's definitely very frustrating. I could just jump putt it off the tee and get down there.
All right, so my final question would be, such an iconic place, you're relatively new to the game in terms of, this event's been going on for more than a decade, but what hole do you think about when you think of Maple Hill?
I'd say hole, I'm just going to say 14. I love that hole with the little water next to it. It's amazing, just that little hyzer and the hope, you land within circles so you can putt.
Game plan for hole 14? I mean, you just said land in the circle, but do you hang it out wide? Do you go with more of a spike? Are you coming in low at that? What's your angle of release and your game plan on that hole?
I'm throwing a buzz or a hornet, so I'll be throwing a little bit over the water and just high so it just sits down right at the basket.
All right. Well, anything you'd like to say to everyone that hasn't experienced Maple Hill?
It's amazing. You do need to come out here. Yeah. Top 10 for sure in the world.
The smile on your face says it all. Everyone, that is Hailey King. Best of luck to you this weekend.
Thank you very much, guys.
And joining us now is Kevin Jones. And Kevin, when people think Maple Hill, they now associate you with that iconic throw last year. What memories does it conjure up for you?
Well, I mean, it's obviously the best shot that I've ever thrown in my life and very possibly will ever throw. It's just really cool to walk up to that hole and still be like the only person that's aced it.
And speaking of the ace, we were just talking about the disc. You have it. You throw it. Have people made offers for it? You know, we think about James Conrad and the Holy Shot. We think about these discs that are so iconic and have meant so much to our sport. Is there anything that somebody could do to pry it away from you?
I don't believe that somebody could pay me off of that one. It's one of the few, it's the only disc in my bag that's actually made it my entire contract. It's been in my bag since 2019. That is a feat alone. And then I made it this last year with it, so that's nice. It got returned to me once in Las Vegas by a nice fellow, and hopefully I don't do that again.
So we're coming into this week, but we haven't seen you playing competitively over the last couple of weeks. The fans, the world want to know what you've been up to. Everybody gets nosy. What have you been doing?
For sure. Well, right after Idlewild, I got my wisdom teeth removed, all 4 of them. So I've got 4 massive holes in my mouth that I'm still recovering from. It's a little weird. I won't give you too much information on what it looks like, but it's just a little bit weird. There's some pressure up in my head, but it's going away. Today's nice. I didn't really experience too much pressure today, so.
Well, and that would be the follow-up is physically, are you feeling any of it still, and do things like the weather or temperatures or anything like that, elevation, is there anything that is still affecting you physically with it?
No, I wouldn't say so. Nothing physically being affected at all. The only effect that I'm going to feel is like the effects of not practicing for 2 weeks. But that can be recovered in 1 week of practice, which is what I've done. I feel really good today. I haven't practiced yet today, but I threw it really straight yesterday, which is all I care about.
Yeah, and so that's what I was going to say. How do you compress that time and make the most out of practice? Come out here, you have so many different shots that you want to get dialed in. What is it that you did to make sure that you were ready to go?
Well, you have to identify what you're struggling at, and that for me is my backhand timing. So just making sure that I'm comfortable with the backhand, don't have to think too much about it. Like I said, I'm all about throwing the disc straight. So that was my main focus this week, is just rep the backhand a lot and make sure that it's coming out straight.
This event has been known for so many years for extracurriculars, a lot of fun that's been had, from pie eating contests to distance competitions. It seems like it'd be a no-brainer that we would have another DJ session. Is that going to happen at some point? And if so, are tickets going to be available?
We are planning on it. I would show up Sunday night somewhere around here. You should hear the music.
All right, it's coming at you. Here's Matt.
Hey, Kevin. Matt from Disc Golf Pro Talk here on the Disc Golf Network. How would you rate your season's performance from 1 to 10, with 10 being meeting all of your expectations?
I'd probably put it at a 7.
Okay, a 7. And then this is a simple question. How hard is it to win on the Elite Series Tour?
It's really hard, really competitive right now. All I can ask for is putting myself in position to win and then going from there. So I've been doing that really well this late part of the season. I would love to keep doing that. As long as I have a chance to win on the final day, ultimately I'm going to leave really satisfied.
Yeah, we asked a few questions of some players earlier, comparing it to the PGA Tour. If you get a win or even 2 in a year on the PGA Tour, that's pretty successful. Do you feel similarly about where the Disc Golf Pro Tour is going with that? Getting 1 or 2 wins a year could be considered really good in the future.
Yeah, that would be considered very good, for sure. Anytime you win during the year, it just shows that shows tons of potential. That's what we're out here to do, and I mean, that's my number 1 goal, is win 1 Pro Tour event a year.
Yeah, that's obviously a change kind of from years past, where you might expect 1 or 2 players to always take down every event, considering it a failure when they don't. You're coming into that and performing really well. You even considered it yourself a 7 out of 10. Coming to Maple Hill specifically, I've been asking all the players, hole 8 has been changed. It has now moved back further. Do you feel like that was a good change? Do you think it was needed? Do you like it? How does it play to your game?
I don't think it was needed, but I don't mind it at all.
Hey, Kevin, chasing the bees here. I'm curious to know what holes you feel like you still need to fine tune, and how long you've been out here practicing for, since you had some time off ahead of time.
I had about a week of practice out here. I ended up showing up here last week, midweek, but wasn't quite 100%, therefore didn't practice those days, but started practicing hardcore on Monday again and every day, of course. First hole that comes to my mind that I need to work on is hole 3. Another one's hole 2, actually. So really early in the round. Sometimes when stuff like that happens, like I really am not confident on those holes at all. I just really want to make it through those holes. There's plenty of other holes out here that I can score on and win the tournament with. So let's just not lose it on 2 or 3.
And that being said, what do you feel like you can score out here? What do you think is the best you can shoot?
The best I could shoot, birdie every hole. I'm not playing for par in any of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll expect 18 down this weekend.
Of course.
And I'm just curious, random question, but if you could slip off any other tee pad on any other course and hit an ace, what hole would you want to slip off of?
Wow. Man, that like Maple Hill, obviously hole 16 is going to win that. Like if you asked me this question pre-ace, I would have probably said hole 16 Maple Hill. So it's hard to have another answer there. I don't know. I'd say one that comes to mind is hole 5 at Jonesboro, or hole 6. It's the downhill par 4. Let me think real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at Jonesboro.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Kevin. Last question would be, for someone that is looking to either play catch up or knock some rust off, I guess would be maybe, as you're dealing with your ailment, is there anything that you would recommend they don't do? I mean, you want to get in reps, you want to get dialed in. You were talking about some players might be maybe a little over anxious, overzealous to go out and get something accomplished. What would you say is something that they should be careful they don't do?
Well, definitely don't get down on yourself too much, because anything can happen in 3 rounds, and if you get yourself down in the week, you can totally ruin your confidence for that week. So I wouldn't do that. I would just play it one hole at a time whenever the tournament comes. If you are feeling those feelings that I was talking about of just like not confident, not really feeling like you can consistently execute the shots, then I would say just take it easy and play a little bit safer. Not that just play a little bit safer and smarter and slower. And don't set your expectations as high, and you could surprise yourself.
And not to look past this weekend, but how excited are you about the rest of the season?
Very excited. We only have 5 more tournaments left, though.
Only?
Yeah.
Some people
weekends.
would say, wow, that's still a lot, but you're saying only.
Yeah. Well, it's because they're back to back to back to back, so
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one more month and then we're done. So it's really not that long. I would prefer to play every weekend. Otherwise, I don't like taking time off.
All right. Well, we hope to see an ace without a slip this weekend. That's Kevin Jones. Best of luck to you this weekend.
Thank you, everybody.
And joining us now is Catrina Allen. And Catrina, coming off an incredible performance throughout the entire weekend, but specifically on the final round, has it all soaked in? And you know, what did you need to get past that this week?
Yeah, it's all soaked in. I mean, with Austin playing really well the last round and his ace, that's mostly what people are talking about. So, when people see me, they're like, "Oh, sweet ace." To Austin, and then they're like, "Oh, congrats!" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, thanks."
Well, to be fair, we see you win often.
Yeah.
And so maybe some of that shine was focused on him a little bit.
Right, which was awesome. And actually, during the round, I saw his ace, and then started to get some birdies and kind of relax, and so maybe there's something there. But anyways, yeah, no, it really felt amazing, like I've talked about, maybe at Jonesboro or even at Worlds, when that mind is just quiet and I'm confident and, you know, just focused on just the shot. It just comes right to me and I just react, and I just got to that place, I think, on Sunday.
Well, to tie those together, focusing on the shot, on 15, you threw a shot and you kind of turned around. Were you thinking like, oh my, we could do something really special here in double ace, hole number 15? Did that go through your mind?
It did. I really did think the line. I mean, that was the shot I threw during practice one day where I ended up being a little past, so I thought for sure maybe that was going to go in, but yeah.
And now I look to, including last weekend, 172 wins that you have in singles competition. That's almost half of the entire events you've played. You're almost at 350 events that you've competed in. Somehow here at Maple Hill, you've only walked away champion once. And that, I think, is astonishing, probably to everyone, and maybe yourself. What is it here? Why is it so difficult to hoist that trophy?
I don't know. I was actually thinking about that, and someone actually I had like, or was it yesterday or the day before? Whenever people were still here, like practicing and fans, and some people were like, you know, this is your tournament, and I was kind of thinking like, well, gosh, I feel like I'm overdue, and I feel like I think in 2016 I was maybe tied or, you know, leading coming down the stretch, and I don't know. I mean, it's just a tough place, you know, with elevation and tight wooded holes and water and all the OB and the rock walls. It can just, you can kind of just be off and not maybe get the result you're looking for. But I think if I can get to that place I was last weekend, although my first two rounds maybe weren't obviously as great as the last one, I still felt really good as far as my headspace on the course. So I think maybe that's what it'll take, is to quiet that mind.
And it's crazy to think that was 2012 was the last time that you had won here. So like you said, certainly overdue. Every single week you tell us about your routine, and I know you almost even maybe get a little bored with that question, but I'm going to turn it around and then say, how do you combat boredom with a routine? I mean, you always go to that and it's successful, but even a routine that's successful sometimes might feel boring, or no?
I guess recently I ordered some Learn Finish books online. I thought, well, since I probably won't see anyone for a year, might be a good time to learn my Finnish for the European Open next year. And so my Finnish friends don't have to snap me in English. But so just kind of keeping it the same, but mixing it up. Sometimes I might focus on, you know, I run in the morning, work on pace or work on speed, or, you know, just the same thing, but just making sure to always mix it up. I follow a girl named @SweendDog on Instagram. She's from Minnesota and a trainer, and she posts her workouts every week, and she never, like the same splits, but completely different workouts every week, and I love that. So if I just keep it, you know, different every day, wake up, have my coffee, practice some Finnish, get in the gym, and then food's the same. But I don't know, I think, I guess for me, keeping it the same like that, then I'm not thinking like, oh, I probably played good this week because I ran, or oh, I probably played good because I didn't run. And it's just, I played good or I didn't, and I'm just going to go back and do the same thing because I trust it. And it's, you know, I feel like I'm slowly getting better every week or every few months. Things really are coming together. Yeah.
Hey, Catrina, Matt,
Hi.
Disc Golf Pro Talk here on the Disc Golf Network. Congrats on your win at Delaware.
Thank you.
You mentioned your last round at Delaware felt easy. How does a player go about repeating that feeling? What goes into making that happen?
I really think it's just all those things me and Terry just talked about, preparation, hard work. I know I talk about it a lot, but the running has been something that's huge to quiet my mind because I absolutely despise running. And so making myself even be on the treadmill for like 14 minutes to run 2 miles is horrible. But it feel like for the rest of the day, my mind's like, all right, you win, I submit. And so, and that's why I say it's easy, is because you're not thinking of the results, the rollaways, you know, that someone else is putting for birdie and you're putting for bogey, or what the next hole is, or what your score is. It's just, you know, you're just out walking through the park, and when it's your turn, the only thing you see is the right shot. And I think just letting, you know, my shot take over, or my form, or my, you know, just getting out of the way and just throwing. And so, you know, it just starts to feel like a fun practice round or whatever. It's just, yeah. And as that round keeps going and you keep trusting, it just becomes easier and easier.
I think fans are interested in your journey with this whole taking cold showers and running and all that kind of stuff. What does quieting the mind mean to you? Explain that.
Yeah, I guess just with the growth of social media, I mean, I can get done with the round and someone will message me like, why the H did you do this during the round? You effing suck, da-da-da-da. And it's like being so mentally tough that you just look at that and you like pity them, and that you just stay in your own journey, in your own lane, and focus on myself. And, you know, we all struggle out here, but I think if you can just keep moving forward, and I feel like that's what helps me quiet the mind, is if I just, you know, look forward. Yeah, I might miss some putts or shank a shot or throw an easy shot out of bounds, but if I can not care what everyone else thinks about it and just move forward. And then, yeah, take a nice cold shower. It sucks. You don't want to be in there, but if you can, all those things are just quieting the mind and like getting out of that comfort zone as our world has become what it is with, I mean, what do we have now? You can have like heated toilets and tile in your bathroom and spa, jacuzzi. Like, when are you ever like really having to do something tough? And so it's just about doing tough things to quiet your mind. So yeah, when you're coming down the stretch of a tournament or you're leading by one in the last round, you can mentally tell yourself, you know, to just, yeah.
Thank you for that. It's interesting.
Yeah.
How would you rate your season to this point on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being that all of your expectations have been met?
I think I liked Kevin's answer, about 7.5.
Okay, so if you won from here on out, including Maple Hill all the way through, how would that number change?
I would give myself an 8.5, 9. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then finally, the 8 holes are here again this year on hole 8, and they cheer and they clap and they're very supportive, sometimes a little rowdy. Do you like that? Does that help you? Does that encourage you? Or do you rather that they weren't?
Oh, no. I, you know, love, it makes me laugh. I think it's awesome. It's fun. I go the Phoenix Waste Management Open every year, so I'm the crazy fan on a hole where I just sit and watch golf and have a beer or 2 or 5 and am, you know, yelling at my favorite golfers. And so, yeah, I think it's awesome. Yeah.
Hey, Catrina, Mark, Chasing the Bees here. You talk a lot about routine, but what sort of routine are you working on mentally for yourself? What sort of things do you say in your head when you're stepping up to the tee to kind of clear that? For some people out there, they're looking for some direct techniques from you.
So I always look to Rory McIlroy, who's talked about this, because it's really easy to get ahead of yourself or think behind. And there's a lot of different ones I have, and I kind of just go with whatever is working that day. Like, for instance, the last round, they weren't a lot less, obviously, because like I said, the round felt easy. But as soon as like a thought about, you know, a putt coming up or a tough upshot coming up, I would tell myself routine, and that just meant pretty much wait until it's your turn, address your lie, look for the best percentage shot, or, you know, on the putt, go through your routine and just do your best. And I know Roy's talked about like saying process, because the whole weekend is a process, and it just all of the things are to get you in the moment and focus on one thing. So I think whatever that word is for you, if that's really focusing on your angle, your height, but I think the less that you're focusing on, the better. And so just finding a word or a mantra or a song, whatever works for you.
Okay. I'm curious what your thoughts are on hole 8. Last year, I believe you bogeyed on that hole each round.
Thank you for that.
A little further back.
I would highly recommend not telling me that ever again.
Yeah, a local guy. I know nothing.
Oh my gosh.
But either way, obviously now it's stepped back, so I'm just curious what your thoughts are, how that hole's challenging even more for you now.
Sorry, I can't get past the bogey thing.
Smooth.
I mean, you're probably barking up the wrong tree. You could make me play the long pad or the drop zone, and I'm just going to go out and choose the disc that's best for that and deal with it the best. I know I was in a practice round, and a competitor was kind of, barking about the tee boxes, and I was like, I just don't have time to be upset or about those things. So, yeah, I feel like that's a whole nother thing, is tee pads and stuff. I don't have any control over that, it seems. So it's good. If it's calm, take the M4, go right at it. And if it's a little windier, stable up and make sure to get inbounds and get a putt.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to you executing your game plan. We're also looking forward to how you're going to follow up last weekend's incredible performance. Of course, best of luck to you, Catrina.
Thank you.
We'll see if you can hoist another trophy here at Maple Hill. Best of luck.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Louisa.
Joining us now is last weekend's National Tour winner in Connor O'Reilly. And Connor, have you taken a deep breath since that final putt went in last Sunday?
Working on it. It's been a busy week trying to schedule all the interviews and trying to make sure I make the most out of that victory and the recency of it.
So much pressure probably, or maybe not. I guess that's a better way to reword this is, what are you feeling coming into this event? Is there relief or is there more pressure?
I mean, I feel like internally there's a little bit of pressure just knowing that it's been a busy week, so I haven't quite gotten all the practice reps I'd like, and it's been a little rainy, so I didn't get a ton of time on the course yesterday, but just make sure get some putts up tonight and try to make sure I can just have that going in tomorrow, have that feeling of like, okay, I put in some work last night and ready to go out there and try to play it smooth again.
Everything that you've dealt with this week have been distractions. Now, they might be positive distractions, but nonetheless, they've been distractions because of such a performance. So what were some of the things that maybe surprised you or caught you off guard with regard to how you had to deal with these distractions?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I knew there'd be an influx of messages and, maybe opportunities to get on interviews and whatnot, but I guess I just didn't quite grasp the scale of it. It was, probably between 1,000 and 1,200 messages on social media and text, and I got to make sure I'm looking through them just in case there's a business opportunity or interview opportunity, make sure I'm not missing those and sifting through. Anytime you get in the spotlight, there's going to be positivity, but there's also going to be that negativity, and seeing some of the negative comments and trying to make sure when I want to maybe respond to them kind of cheekily or whether I want to just kind of let it be and just let it roll off the shoulders.
Well, after, again, a performance like that, people are going to have their own thoughts, right, wrong, or indifferent. There's also going to be probably a world of memes and other funny or attempts at being funny. Was there anything you saw that like you either really chuckled at or maybe even that lit your fire a little more this year or this week?
If anyone's good at making memes, I hope they go back to round one hole 17 and meme my slip putt from 90 feet that landed at the bottom of the hill there. But no, I didn't see anything meme. I did see some people talking about how big my head was. Like, oh, he only has 2 snaps on his snapback. But I responded to him, let him know that I had a little more room for calculations in there. So it plays to my advantage, so it's okay.
Very nice. Matt's got some questions for you.
Hey, Connor, Matt from Disc Golf Pro Talk here on the Disc Golf Network. Congratulations on winning your first NT last week. It's definitely given you a platform. You just kind of talked about taking those opportunities with whether it's interviews or whatever opportunities with sponsorships, endorsements, those kinds of things. Well, here's your opportunity. What are some of your thoughts on where the game is at and where you'd like to see it go? Because I know you have them.
I mean, I feel like the game's at a great place. Like, as a player, I feel like it's kind of the golden age to get in right now, make a name for yourself, because we got a big influx of young talent that's going to keep pouring into the game, and athletes that really just take a full life approach to the game and not just take it serious when they're on the practice course. They take it serious off the course as well. I'd like to see it keep pushing forward. I'd like to see, I mean, as of right now, we're a self-regulated sport, so like, within a couple of years, if we could have even just a few officials roaming each course every time we have a big event, that would help just to kind of give that feeling of like, okay, we need to be a little more on point, make sure that everyone's playing the same course. Because for me, like playing anytime I'm competing, I just want to make sure everyone's playing on the same playing field and it's an honest, even competition. So then the cream of the crop rises and there's no funny stuff. No one gets a different call just because they're on a certain card. And so I think we've got a little ways to go still, but I think we're in a good place, and we're just going to be rising for the next decade or more, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Thanks for sharing that.
What would you say to anyone that thinks they won't see you in top finishes from here on out? Maybe it was a mistake that you won.
I mean, I feel like if you watch the tape, I feel like I left some mistakes out there, and for me as a player, I just kind of try to focus on what I can do, and I know I'm just going to keep trying to get better every day, and I know even though I did beat maybe the world #1 as of this year, I still have a lot of room for improvement. It's my first year out on tour. I've only seen these courses one time, so I think as I just get more familiar with the courses and settle into playing in front of galleries and playing on the cameras and all the distractions that come with being one of the top players, I think I'm only going to get better from there.
You've probably heard about Maple Hill. Definitely in the UDisc rankings, it's rated #1 for this year. Had you ever been out here before?
No, this is my first time to this amazing property.
So does it meet the expectations that were set? 'Cause the bar is pretty high. What did you think? What were some of the feelings and thoughts that came through your mind as you drove onto the property?
Yeah, I mean, since I started playing disc golf and watching disc golf on YouTube, I definitely held this place in high regards and always wanted to come here. And I mean, as soon as you step on the course, it has everything you need for an amazing disc golf track. To me, the 4 kind of pillars of being able to play good disc golf are some elevation change, some water hazards, some good grass. Here and there we have some bare fairways, but there's some good grassy fairways as well mixed in. And then we got the mature trees as well, which can shape some nice tight tree lines and give some good obstacles in there without being too kind of random with tiny little skinny trees. There's some bunkers here and there that you want to avoid. That might cause some kicks, but for the most part, the shapes are there. It's a little tighter than last week at Iron Hill, but this course it's demanding, but it's a lot of fun.
Connor, chasing the bees here. I'm curious what hole or things about this event you've heard about coming into it and that you're looking forward to kind of tackling and playing.
I feel like it's one of those, like, I used to consume all the disc golf media, make sure I was watching all the players, trying to learn the courses, and usually I would remember a couple holes here and there on the course, but I feel like on this one I get to every hole and I'm like, I can like think through this whole course like really quickly, even before I stepped on the course. There's so many like signature feeling holes out here, and yeah, I mean, there's so many good holes, and it's hard to really pick one. I feel like there's so many different shapes and unique challenges that you got to face out here. You got to be on your toes, and you got to have patience because you're going to have some moments where it's not going to quite go your way, and you can't really let that get to you.
Okay. And now, earlier, Kevin Jones said he's going to shoot 18 down. I'm curious what you think you are able to do. What do you think is a good score for you at the end of the round?
I mean, if I green light it, obviously, like, any player who's capable of winning an event, I think, can also birdie every single hole on the track. It's just on a course like this, putting them all together in one round, that's a tall task. If I went anything in the double digits, I think that would be right up there at the top, competing for a win. And I think if you can hover around that, you're going to be right there towards the top spot.
Okay. And I'm curious, what have you heard about the 8 holes? Is that something you're looking forward to, or something that's somewhat intimidating?
No, I love it. I think the fans bring a great energy to the game, and you know, it might be unfortunate here and there if you're on a different hole and you get razzed by some excitement on that hole, but try to make sure you have a good sound routine, and maybe you take a couple extra seconds, time out the roar, and wait for your opportunity to take your putt. But yeah, I think it's great to have that excitement and have a hole like that sets up for a good ace run.
And Connor, last few thoughts here. Tomorrow, during the opening round, I see that you're playing with Matty O, Kale Leviska, and Jordan Castro. If you add up all three of their PDGA numbers, it still doesn't equal what yours is.
Wow.
Kale also the first person to ever be a two-time champion on this property. With all of that being said, what do you still have to learn from some of these veterans out there?
Yeah, a lot of history on that card, different play styles, but Kale and Matty obviously are guys who've been competitive for almost 2 decades now, so I think just seeing the way they handle their mistakes when they make them, I think it's going to be the biggest thing for me, because those guys have been through it. They've had those mistakes, but they know that you got to stay patient and stay confident even when maybe you threw a shot not to the best of your abilities.
Last weekend you may have set a new bar for yourself, but keeping that in mind and just reality and the competition level, what do you consider a success here for this weekend, your first time at the event?
I feel like if I can just keep my tempo nice and controlled and keep the disc in bounds, I feel like I can compete at this one as well. I mean, anything in the top 10 at these type of events obviously is huge, but yeah, I don't really like to set too much of that type of expectation for myself. I think if I just go out there and execute my game plan and stay patient, then I definitely can compete for the top spot.
Well, as you said, you've gained some fans and maybe even a couple of haters. Close us out. Tell us, look into the camera, tell anything you want to address to any haters or doubters out there.
Oh, I mean, my fire is burning bright, and if you want to add a stick or two, then I never mind it. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate everyone who's supported me and shown love along the way. It's amazing to see that I've inspired a lot of people and shown people that hard work and dedication really pays off, even in a short time sometimes if you dream big and make sure to go after it.
I have nothing better to follow that up. So we're going to close it out here. The 2021 MVP Open taking place at Maple Hill. We'll have the chance to watch Connor and the rest of this very deep and talented field throughout the weekend. We hope you guys tune in live right here on the Disc Golf Network. Best of luck to you this weekend.
Thank you.